What if the person sitting next to you every single day was an entirely different person than who they claim to be? Not in a small way. Not in a, oh, they're a little secretive kind of way. I mean a completely, fundamentally different human being with an entirely separate life running parallel to the one you thought you knew. That's exactly what happened to me, and by the end of this video, you're going to question everything you think you know about the people around you. My name is not important right now. What is important is that I worked alongside this guy for almost 4 years. 4 years of morning coffee conversations, lunch breaks, birthday celebrations in the break room, covering each other's shifts, sharing complaints about management. 4 years of what I genuinely believed was a real friendship. And every single second of it was built on a foundation of complete and total fiction. Let me set the scene for you. We worked at a mid-sized company, nothing glamorous, just your average corporate environment. He came in, did his job well, everybody liked him. He was charming without being over the top about it. He remembered people's names, asked about your family, showed up to the optional team events. He was the kind of person who made you feel seen. And that, I now realize, was the skill. That was the whole entire craft he had perfected. I'll call him Marcus. That's not his real name, but it fits him in my head somehow. Marcus had a wife, or at least that's what he told us. He'd mention her casually the way married people do. He kept a photo on his desk, talked about their dog, mentioned a trip they took to Portugal. Nothing dramatic, nothing that made you look twice. Just the normal background noise of a person's life bleeding into their work conversations. Here's where it gets complicated. About 8 months ago, a coworker of mine, I'll call her Diane, ran into someone at a grocery store. This woman introduced herself as Marcus's girlfriend, not his ex. Not a friend. His girlfriend. As in, currently, presently, in an active relationship with the man who had a photo of his wife sitting on his desk 30 feet from where I'm typing this right now. Diane was polite, played it off, got home, and immediately called me. And I remember exactly where I was standing in my kitchen when I heard what she said. That cold, prickly feeling that starts at the back of your neck and spreads down your spine. Because something clicked in my brain in that moment. All these tiny, almost invisible things that never quite made sense suddenly started rearranging themselves into a picture I really did not want to see. So we started paying attention. Not in a malicious way, not like we were out to get him. But once you know something like that, you can't unknow it. You start noticing patterns you always walked right past. Marcus had 2 phones. We had always assumed one was personal and one was work. Turns out the work phone was the decoy. The personal phone was the one none of us ever saw the screen of. He would angle it away, flip it over, or just walk out of the room entirely when it buzzed. We thought that was just him being professional, being respectful of work boundaries. No, he was managing logistics and the scheduling thing. Marcus was meticulous about his calendar. Always knew exactly when he had commitments, never double booked, never flaked. We thought he was just organized. An admirable quality, honestly. But what we were actually witnessing was someone running 2 separate schedules for 2 separate lives without ever letting them collide. That takes a level of mental energy I genuinely cannot comprehend. Then the addresses came up. He had mentioned offhand once, maybe 2 years ago, that he and his wife lived in the east side of the city. But someone from our office had dropped something off at what they believed was his house based on something he said, and the neighborhood was completely different. When they mentioned it to him, he laughed it off. Said they must have misremembered. Confident, easy, no sweat. That's the thing about people who live like this. They are extraordinarily good at making you feel like you are the confused one. Now let me be honest with you about something because I want this video to be more than just a dramatic story. When all of this started surfacing, my first reaction was not anger. It was something much more uncomfortable. It was grief. Actual grief. Because I had to confront the fact that someone I genuinely cared about, someone I thought cared about me as a friend, had essentially treated our entire relationship as a prop in a performance. Every conversation we ever had was filtered through a character he was playing. Every personal thing he ever shared with me was calculated. Every laugh, every moment of what felt like real human connection was part of maintaining a cover story. And I think that's the part people do and talk about enough when they discuss situations like this. It's not just about the romantic betrayal happening to whoever is being deceived at home. It's about what it does to everyone in the orbit of that deception. Because we were deceived too. Every single person in that office was a supporting character in a story none of us auditioned for. What happened next was both messy and painfully anticlimactic at the same time. Someone eventually told the wife. I don't know exactly how it happened, and I'm not going to pretend I was innocent in the information traveling the way it did. The girlfriend, from what we pieced together through various very uncomfortable conversations that happened in the following weeks, had believed she was in a committed long-term relationship heading towards something serious. The wife had no idea any of it existed. Marcus came into work one Monday and he looked like a different person. Like the character he'd been playing had just evaporated overnight, and what was left was just this tired, diminished version of a man trying to remember how to hold his face together. He didn't last long after that. He resigned about 3 weeks later with some vague explanation about pursuing other opportunities. People who didn't know the full story probably believed him, because that's what he did. He was believable. I spent a lot of time after this trying to understand the psychology of it. And I'm not a therapist, I want to be really clear about that, but I did a lot of reading because I needed to make sense of what I had witnessed. What struck me most is how much of this kind of behavior relies on compartmentalization. The ability to essentially wall off different parts of your life so completely that they do and emotionally bleed into each other. For most people, that's impossible. Our different worlds overlap, our feelings spill over. We can't maintain contradictory truths simultaneously without it costing us something. But some people are genuinely capable of building these airtight containers. And the terrifying part is that they often look like the most put-together people in the room. Because the same discipline it takes to maintain that separation can look, from the outside, exactly like competence, reliability, and emotional stability. I also had to do some honest self-reflection about the role that proximity plays in trust. We extend trust to people just because we see them regularly. We assume that familiarity means we know someone. We think that shared small moments add up to shared truth. But familiarity and transparency are completely different things, and we conflate them constantly. The coworker you had lunch with 100 times might be someone you actually know almost nothing real about. And that's not a paranoid thought. That's just the truth about how surface level most of our daily relationships actually are. We fill in the gaps with assumption. We construct a version of that person in our heads, and then we interact with that construction more than we interact with the actual human. Marcus was very good at feeding just enough real information to make the constructed version feel solid. That's the craft. That's the thing he was actually talented at. So what do you do with all of this? What's the takeaway from watching someone's carefully built house of cards collapse in slow motion? For me, it was this. Pay less attention to what people say and more attention to what stays consistent over time. Patterns don't lie even when people do. And when something feels slightly off, when there's that small moment where the story doesn't quite track, don't talk yourself out of it. Your instincts are processing information your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. The people closest to us have the greatest power to shape our reality, which means the people willing to abuse that position can do so invisibly, for years, while we hand them access willingly and gratefully. Marcus is somewhere out there right now. I genuinely don't know what his life looks like. And honestly, I hope whoever he is now is at least honest about it. If any of this felt uncomfortably familiar to you, drop a comment below. I would genuinely love to know if you've ever had that moment where someone you trusted turned out to be someone completely different. And if this video made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.